해대쉽 TV.
그럼 다음 질문인데 비슷한 질문인데 그러면 SFU로 지나간 후에 학생들이 SF에서 공부하면서 느끼는 이제 학업 성취도나 이제 적응 같은 건 어떻게 될까요?
Absolutely. The students who come through FIC, I just sort of see this level of confidence. It's more that they have the ability to really look at their education and how they can build it, be introduced into the system. So that's why I think from the standpoint, it's so valuable to come to FIC first and then SFU. I mean, both of which the instructors really work hard to integrate and to support the students. So, but once you get to the university, and well, mind you, in my class at SFU that I've got 35 at FIC, but if you're looking at my SFU class, I'll have anywhere from 80 to 220 students in one class. Now, I'm different. I will go and try to meet as many of my students as possible, talk to them. Not all the instructors will do that. So that's why FIC, I think, is so important, because you build those relationships that are going to be foundational. Not with just the instructor, but also with the students as well.
저희도 이제 FIC를 많이 보냈고 SFU도 많이 보냈고 한 10년 넘게 하고 있는데 FIC가 학생 서포트가 매우 좋은 걸로 유명합니다. 학생들이 오히려 SFU를 바로 갔을 때보다 어떻게 하면은 대학교에 더 적응을 잘할 수 있고 그런 게 서포트가 엄청나게 잘 돌아가고 있거든요. 그러니까 FIC에서도 계속 이제 이 페이스웨이 프로그램을 유지를 하고 계속 발전시키고 있는 거니까 이런 FIC의 학업적인 그리고 여러 가지 학생을 위한 서포트는 매우 좋다라고 할 수 있겠습니다. 그 다음 질문은 FIC에서는 공부 외에도 방과후 활동이나 액티비티 같은 걸 많이 하는 걸로 알고 있는데 어떤 게 있는지 좀 설명해 주실 수 있나요?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you really don't want to go to school just for the studies. And I don't mean that you ignore your studies. That's very important. So at FIC, they do a lot of, what we call tea talk. Maybe you come together and everybody just has a cup of tea and sit there and talk to each other, meet each other. But then after your first semester, second semester, you could become an orientation leader. They are also open to FIC students to be a member of the club, which is great because the club provides you an opportunity to meet other students, to help with project management because they organize events and things. The other one is recreation and athletics. You can, if you're, let's say, a student who really enjoys basketball, well, there's intramural basketball camps or like competitions where you form your own team and you play against other SFU students. I think it's a nice complement to have like your classes and maybe one or two activities, just so you can blend it and so you don't go overboard only in education or only in your extracurricular.
FIC를 가면 이제 SF 학생증이 나오기 때문에 SF 대학교에 이제 100개가 넘는 그 동아리라든지 운동이라든지 다 이용할 수 있는데 SFU 말고 FIC 안에도 SFU의 학생들만을 위한 동아리, 봉사활동, 클럽 이런 게 따로 있거든요. 그래서 학생들이 이제 교수님 말한 것 같이 이제 적극적으로 이제 참여해서 공부만 하지 말고 액티비티도 하고 FIC 안에도 국제학생들끼리 하는 꽤 활발하게 돌아가고 있거든요. 그런 거를 할 수 있는 기회가 많으니까. 근데 아무리 기회가 많아도 학생이 적극적으로 하지 않으면 누가 떠먹여주는 건 아니니까 좀 적극성을 가지고 해주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 그럼 다음 질문은 교수님이 이제 수업을 진행을 하실 때 특별한 교수님만의 이제 수업 방식이 있다고 하는데 그게 굉장히 유니크하다고 제가 들었는데 그거에 대해서 설명을 좀 해주실 수 있으세요?
So we have I'll give you an example. So we all have a perspective. We have a view of the world, but when we have that view of the world, we look at it as a truth, as this is the way the world is. But in my class, I like to ask, let's re-look and rethink perspectives. So I put up an image and I say one word and only one word, that's all you get. Describe this picture. Now, let me ask you, if you saw a picture of the ocean, one word for you, what's one word to describe the ocean? What would you say?
Blue and white.
Blue.
Yeah.
So blue.
Blue.
Perfect. But then I get people saying deep, calm, dangerous, treacherous, sushi, pirates, mermaids, sand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I gather all this information and I put it on a list and then I say, okay, to my students, which is the right word? And they say, they're all right, only one word. That's all I'm going to accept. They get confused. They said, well, what's the right word? I said, the right word is calm. They look at me and I said, because that's my word. Calm is the way I would describe it. So if you said blue, you and I can work together because blue can fit that calm. But then I say, the person who sees dangerous or treacherous can't work with you. But then I tell my students, a person who sees dangerous, treacherous, why do I need them? What do you think?
Because the student not saying my opinion, but I think so the student can think more creatively.
Absolutely. And also think of it this way. If I say calm, blue, serene, and you see dangerous and treacherous, maybe you're seeing something I'm missing. And the person who sees salt, mermaid, sushi, pirates, they're seeing things from a very detailed position. I'm a conceptual thinker and I'm thinking from an emotional perspective, and they're seeing things in a very, very fine way. And I think that's really important because I may be missing that.
재밌네요. That's fun. 그래서 이 수업들이 보시면 알겠지만 이 모든 답들이 틀린 게 아니고 내가 보는 것과 이 사람이 보는 게 다르면 그거로서 또 더 많은 생각을 얻을 수 있고 그런 것들이 재밌는 것 같습니다. 그 다음은 이제 전공 질문인데요. 한국 유학생들에게 혹은 뭐 일반 유학생들에게 가장 인기 있는 전공이 따로 있을까요?
A lot of our students choose business. That's one that many come from families who are entrepreneurs, and it's the continuity of business. So that's one thing. And even in business, we have many concentrations. So accounting, finance, entrepreneurship, human resources, operations, etc. To some extent, engineering, and we do what we call mechatronics type of engineering. But arts and social sciences, one that I think is also interesting is we call it SEAT, Interactive Arts and Technology. They want to do the digital work and like logos, designs, and company sort of publications and things like that. But with so many different programs, you get to pick and choose. And as I mentioned earlier, the benefit is you can do a double major or a major and a minor. Yes, there are signature programs that may gravitate towards maybe Korean students, but also keep options open because you never know what you may hit that you really enjoy.
교수님은 이제 비즈니스 스쿨에 속해 있고 SFU가 컴퓨터 사이언스, 범죄학, 그리고 미디어 커뮤니케이션이 캐나다 거의 탑 수준으로 제일 유명한데 교수님 말했지만은 SFU는 뭐 처음부터 한 가지 전공을 가야 되는 다른 나라 대학교들이나 한국 대학교들하고 좀 다르게 이렇게 뭐 플렉시블하니까 한 개 전공만 선택하는 생각보다는 이제 넓게 공부하시면 될 것 같습니다. 한국 유학생들이 특별히 힘들어하는 부분에 대해서 설명해 주실 수 있을까요?
I wouldn't say that there's a particular course or studies. I think it's more in general. Like I would look at the student, and it's not necessarily even if they're from Korea or India or Pakistan. I will use me as an example. Conceptual, broad thinking, and not the numbers side. I'm not a numbers person, and I'm more of a conceptual thinker. So I find that if a Korean student, for example, may not be great at math, maybe they're more conceptual as a thinking. So I don't think that there's necessarily a type of program or a type of way that student will succeed. I think that it's more based on the individual that I've seen. And I always look at students are a spectrum, and it doesn't matter where they come from. Some are going to be more really numbers focused, and they struggle in my classes in SFU because it's more subjective. Subjective person, if they're doing a numbers class, they're going to get it failed? Absolutely not. But it's going to take a different sort of mindset to get through the program.
감사합니다. 이런 게 이제 사실 한국하고 해외 교육의 차이점인 것 같은데 한국 사람들은 너무 이제 틀에 박힌 공부를 많이 하니까 이런 거를 조금 많이 바꾸시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 그리고 마지막 질문인데 마지막으로 한국 학생들에게 한마디 해주신다면 어떤 게 있을까요?
Absolutely. I think the important thing is before you get there, try to do as much an understanding of the place you're going to, regardless if it's Vancouver or anywhere. Try to do some background knowledge or experience there. The other thing is, I think what I've seen, and it's either Korean or many students from many countries, they say, I'm going to go there and I'm going to sit back and I'm going to sort of try to figure out what things are like. And they'll maybe sit back because they're afraid to put their hand up in class. Because what are people going to say? What are people going to think? What I'll say in my class, and again, at FIC, 35 students, or at SFU, anywhere from 80 to 200, 250 students. I actually go around and I randomly point to students and say, well, what do you think? If I point to you or ask you a question and you're not comfortable answering the question, all you have to say is pass. And I'm not going to say, well, no, you can't pass or answer this question. The other thing I tell my students is instead of me pointing at you and asking questions, maybe put your hand up and say, can you explain that concept again? I'm not quite clear. The benefit is then I know you've already asked me a question. I'm not going to ask you my question. I'm just going to answer your question. Try not to be so afraid or shy. Nobody's there to judge you.
Thank you. 교수님 하는 얘기가 들어보시면 비슷한 맥락의 이야기가 계속 나오는데 적극적으로 해라. 부러워하지 말고 자신의 의견을 피력해라. 그리고 그게 정답이 아니어도 된다. 크리에이티브해져라. 근데 한국 학생들이 이제 이런 걸 잘 못해요. 이제 근데 이제 한국에서는 이제 사회가 그런 걸 아는데 우리가 이제 유학을 갈 때는 이런 걸 벗어나야 되니까 이제 그런 거를 많이 강조하시고 FIC에 이제 들어오시면 교수님이 이런 식으로 또 이제 교육을 해주실 거라고 동영상으로 간접 체험해 주셨어요. 그러면 마무리를 하겠는데요. 오늘 SFU 이제 Sam 경영학부 교수님을 모시고 인터뷰를 진행해 보았는데 알차고 유익한 시간으로 느끼셨으면 좋겠습니다. 저희는 뭐 나름 열심히 준비를 해봤는데 좋았는지 모르겠습니다. 더 궁금하신 부분은 네이버 카페에 댓글을 남겨주시거나 저희 유튜브에 댓글을 남겨주시면 저희가 빠르게 댓글을 달아드리고 하겠습니다. 오늘 함께해 주셔서 감사하고요. Thank you, Sam.
No, I
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Yeah.
No, and I thank you for the questions and having a conversation with me today.
오늘 수고하셨습니다. 모두 감사합니다.
이 영상이 마음에 드셨다면 구독과 좋아요, 알림 설정 꾹꾹